Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Set you up here. We're out here in the garage today. So, kind of running with what's going on the past couple weeks or whatever. This is definitely automotive related, not trucking related. Got hit in freaking almost in the eye with a wrench the other day, ratchet. But, that's how it works. But, kind of running through what's been going on. Went to the drag strip like two Fridays ago. One pass, got rained out, sucked down at Z-Max. And that was the last test and tune session for the year. So I've been kind of holding out and working on my Cadillac because it's the track's been open. It's kind of hard when you got a working car, go to the track. So set it up, ran a 150 shot on it. I got some safety stuff. I got the safety gauge. PNSS gauge. So that bad boy right there, it does all like safety set, air fuel ratio, bottle pressure, window switching, does all that. Which is great, but I purged it too much, and that kind of got me there, you know. So with that being said, we ran one time, and of course it got rained out. It rained a little bit, and they called it. So that kind of sucked. That was like 40 bucks gone. One pass, the safety gauge in there, kicked it off because I purged it down. I think I had it like 1,050 psi, but when that solenoid opens up, you'd be surprised it drops down to about 950 or so. And I'm running an AN6 line, so I can only imagine what AN4 would do. But anyways, we got all that. So nitrous system's been working. Got it mounted here in the back. That's the setup we got right now. Got a heater, it's on, pressure switch is there, controls the heater. Bolted it. We put thread inserts. These are actually studs, so it's easy to get in and out. And you can unscrew the studs if you don't want them, you know, if you've got a trip or whatever. AN6 line. I mean, it worked out great. Nice location. Still get your spare tire. You know, we saw stuff that's hooked to the track. Jets, we're gonna really mess with it while we're down there, and it just didn't happen. But anyways, today's video is about what we're doing to the car. We're finally getting the cam in it, the pulleys in it. Got this thing tore down. So you guys can be surprised. But here's the hints, right? But if you didn't see it in the background, motor is out. That's today's project. We dropped the whole subframe, which is a nightmare. We got all this kind of put back in there for now, so we can get the floor cleaned up. Let me go ahead and put you down here. Open this hood. Alright, so there's the hood, motor, transmission, everything's out. There's a fuse box. If you guys have never seen that out of there, GM does it pretty smart and made it where the wiring harness is plugged in from the bottom. And yeah, leave the radiator in here, just strap it up a little bit. Motor mounts are shot, like done. So that's one reason why the motor's out. Because, you know, they do a pulley and cam and all that stuff, lifters. You can do a lot of stuff in these cars without dropping everything out. But I had oil pan leaking. I had oil leak up top from the valley pan. I had bad motor mounts. And I was going to do lifters. I'm doing everything the right way. Lifters, you know, I restarted everything. Valve cover was leaking. Had everything going on. Might as well put spark plugs in it. The guy I bought the car from, of course, used, where are they at? You know, everybody, if you're watching, you get the headers. I don't know where they're at. Oh, here it is. So if you get headers, and it comes with these gaskets here. So if it comes with these gaskets here, just don't use them. These actually fared decently well, but you can see this is way cheap. Now, this, if your kit comes with these gaskets, usually means you got cheap headers. So if you buy a car and it's got them on there, you already know they're not high dollar. They're decent, but they're not high dollar. And I ran cheap headers on both my cars. I didn't purchase them. I bought the cars that came with them. But the ones you want to run is the multi-layer steel from GM. Ones I prefer. There's part number. Reuse your old ones before you put those graphite ones, what do you want to call it, before you put those cheap ones on, because they will blow out. The multi-layer steel will not blow out. Those things do great. So transmission's over here. leaking a little bit of fluid last night. Got a little mess, but this is the transmission. I eventually need to do some work to it, but not today. I've learned when you're doing these builds, don't overbuild them. Like, don't overdo too much. So, because it'll bite you in the butt when you go tuning and all that stuff. You'll just be chasing so much. Now, if you do it all the time, that's one thing. I don't do it all the time. I do it on my own personal cars, so that's kind of how it works. But so there's the car. Gonna be here for a little while. But with the motor, I wasn't gonna go this far with it. As you can see, heads are in the ground over there, and block is here. So I wasn't gonna go this far with it, but I ended up tore it down. I was gonna do the oil pan because you're gonna, you know, might as well do the oil pan because it was leaking. Might as well get it out. And I had an oil leak that was actually from the valley gasket up here. So, of course, while I had the oil pan off, I might as well check the rods. So, check the rods, rod bearings. See if I can get the focus there, but they had copper showing. Yep, there you go. So, the car's got like 136,000 miles. When I bought it, it had a horrible drivability tune. Wide open was fine, but drivability was horrible. And you could hear once in a while with spark knocking, so I'm guessing that's why those rod bearings look like that. The mains, they didn't look too bad. They got, that one's got copper showing for sure. So that's always good. Yeah, so that one's pretty bad. And the crank looked great. The crank, we just polished it, took the machine shop, had them do, I had them hit the cylinders. Cylinders look good. I just had them put a little hone on the cylinders for it. And just cleaning it up, you know. I ended up finding number 2 and 8 top ring was flaked. So that kind of tells me that we had detonation at one point in this car. My opinion, detonation, a lot of heat, whatever was going on. Didn't happen with my tuner. My tuner is very safe. He starts out like you're supposed to, and he won't let nothing leave without, you know, making sure it's right. But the car, the guy who had it tuned before, obviously did things a little different, because I've heard this thing spark knock before part throttle, not wide open, but I've heard it. And once you hear something spark knock, you're way into it. You know, it's been doing it anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty much what the project's been this past little bit. The oil pan down here all cleaned up. No metal or nothing really in it. Pretty good. we're doing cam, lifters, push rods, springs, 917 lower. It's got a 238 upper, I believe it's on right now. So that's gonna be pretty much max out the supercharger. We're running E, so that should be fine. Intake temperature wasn't a problem before because I got a tank, you know, expansion tank and all that. But we're aiming for like 750 wheel on this deal. We're gonna find out. Last time it was on the dyno, it made 580, but you know, having 2 rings that were hurt, maybe that was the issue. Luckily, the rings didn't hurt the pistons or anything like that. Let me take you up in the basement, and because I got an L92 Tour part, 6.2 liter, if you guys don't know, but an L92 versus LSA, a lot of things different. On the piston side of things, because I thought I already had all these parts around because I was planning on building a turbo L92. So I was like, well, I got pretty much most of the stuff anyways. So walk over here. What did I do? Oh, about lost you there. So these are the LSA pistons, which I cleaned, which they cleaned up really good. I was planning on just cleaning them, decarboning them, all that, but ended up having those ring problems, so, and that turned into a bunch more work and more money. Of course, is how it works out. Let me find these wheels. Let me find these rings, pistons for you. Well, oh, let's grab this other one over here. So these are the L92 pistons, and basement's a mess. I've been working on so many projects. So here's your differences. This one used to have a coating on it. it came off because most of it came off because the had wear. That motor was pretty worn. But flat top, as you can see, versus the dish. And the biggest thing on these is, if you look really close here, let's see if we can get you zoomed in, that coating on the top ring, that's the anodized. So that makes it harder. So you got a harder top ring, and this one don't have all that. L92 doesn't have it. Come on, camera, work with me. Anyways, it don't have it. Rods have different numbers on them. L92's got different numbers. The LSA don't have that. They're both broken rods. I guess they're called Gen 4 rods. You guys probably know more about that than I do. Biggest thing is, you can just tell this one's a little bit more meatier. It's got a longer skirt. And the ring pack. So this is where it gets you. So this is a 1.2. So this one runs a 1.5, 1.2, 2.0 ring pack. And this is the LSA. And these run, if I'm not mistaken, 1.5, 1.5, 2.5 millimeter on the L92s. So I know that's the difference. I'm not a big, I don't do a whole lot of stuff all the time, so you guys probably know more, look it up online, more about it, but I thought they were the same ring packs. Supposedly the 1.5, 1.2, 2.0 is LSA and LS9. So only. So that kind of screws you for piston ring options, as I found out. Because I had piston rings for that motor I was going to build, and they don't fit. So, only option I had was to call Total Seal. They said they could put a piston ring pack together for me. It'd be like 300 bucks. I looked online. They offer a standard ring set, and it was like $218 or something, but it was gonna be like 3-week shipping. Now I'm not wanting to do all that. So, I figured application-wise, GM obviously designed that piston with a different ring set, and those piston rings are designed for boost. And people have had a lot of good luck with that ring set. The rings ain't the problem with this motor. They don't go bad. They just don't do it. So I went ahead and went to GM and bought rings. They're like with tax and everything. My price was $261. So there they are. There's your part number. They come in this fancy, genuine GM. Yeah, that's it right there. So, was gonna go maybe a different piston option, but since these pistons look so good, I just really couldn't. I don't want to spend that kind of money on all that. Not trying to make my car into a drag car, even though that's what it always heads that way. Trying not to make this car a total drag car. How about that? And limitations is supposedly the transmission. So, not really in the rods. So your rods go before usually your pistons. Been told if you have a good tune and you run E, obviously octane makes a big difference. But we're getting there. So this is kind of the project. I was gonna have the motor in today. Well, as you can see, it is nowhere near. I'm filing rings right now. We're gonna gap these GM rings. They came, if you guys wanna know, they came gapped, what was it, like 16 tops of factory. I took my old rings and the new GM rings and checked them, and there was 16 top ring, so 16 thousandths was top, and the bottom was 28 thousandths. And I checked multiple cylinders that way, new and old rings, and that's how they were. So, you know, these LSA motors, they're doing pretty good with that 16 top gap. I was very surprised. People, you know, if that's how they made them on all of them, then that's pretty good. They're making a lot of power with that. With the rings button. So I'm gonna go ahead and gap mine. What am I gapping mine? 30 and 32 is what we're gonna gap these at, because running nitrous and all that, it's already apart. It's assurance. It's not like it's gonna be that big of a deal. Might do a little bit more often oil changes, but realistically, I've ran wide gaps like that before, never had an issue. So, and it'll be set up if you actually have a bad day. You won't have to worry about overheating your rings and them butting together, grenading your piston. So, I don't know, that's what we're gonna do, but that's what we're doing today. As always, hit the like button. If you like the video, stick around for the automotive stuff. We're gonna try to have this thing back going this season, but subscribe, stick around. I'll see you in the next video.